Hello and welcome to my channel, Powerful Colours, where I will be sharing the stories of influential people of colour from throughout history. In today's episode, I will be talking about Elizabeth Eckford, the girl from Little Rock. Elizabeth Eckford is one of the Little Rock Nine, a group of African American students who were the first Black students to ever attend classes at Little Rock Central High School in Little Rock, Arkansas. This occurred in 1957, and this integration was a result of the Supreme Court case Brown v. Board of Education of Topeka in 1954. Her entry into the school was unsuccessful and resulted in Elizabeth being surrounded by a mob of segregationists who threatened to lynch her. Brown v. Board of Education of Topeka was a landmark decision of the U.S. Supreme Court. It ruled that state laws that establish racial segregation in public schools are unconstitutional. The named plaintiff, Oliver Brown, had a daughter in the third grade who had to walk 6 blocks to her bus stop to ride to her segregated black school, which was 1 mile away, all the while a white school was 7 blocks from her house. There were 13 plaintiffs in total, all Topeka parents who, between them, fought on behalf of their 20 children. The district court ruled in favor of Board of Education, citing U.S. Supreme Court precedent set in Plessy v. Ferguson in 1896. This ruled that racial segregation was constitutional for public facilities as long as they were equal in quality. Although the district court panel believed segregated public education to have a detrimental effect on Black children, relief was denied as they found Black and white schools to be equal regard to curricula, qualifications of teachers, buildings, and transportation. The U.S. Supreme Court case combined 5 cases, including Brown itself, and on May 17, 1954, the Supreme Court case revealed a unanimous 9-0 decision in favor of the Brown family and other plaintiffs. However, in 1957, Arkansas Governor Orval Faubus enlisted his state's National Guard to block the entry of Black students into Little Rock Central High School. On September 4th, 1957, Elizabeth Eckford and 8 other African American students, now popularly known as the Little Rock Nine, attempted to enter Little Rock Central High School, a school which had been segregated, and they were unsuccessful. The 9 of them were met with an angry mob of 400 people surrounding the school that day, with the help of Arkansas National Guard, deployed by the Arkansas governor at the time. The original plan was for the 9 students to arrive together and wait for Daisy Bates, a strong desegregation activist, so they could all walk together to the rear entrance of the school. However, there was a last-minute change to the meeting place the night before, and due to the Eckford family not having access to a telephone, the message never got to them, so the next day, Elizabeth Eckford arrived at school completely alone. Elizabeth was surrounded by a mob of men, women, and students who opposed integration and did not see a single Black face in the crowd. The white teenagers chanted at her, 2, 4, 6, 8. We ain't gonna integrate. The famous photograph of Elizabeth being shouted at by a white student, Hazel Bryan Massery, was taken in the midst of the chaos. Elizabeth made an attempt to enter the school through the mob, but was denied entrance. She then ran to the bus bench at the end of the block. Elizabeth described her experience. I stood there at the school. It looked so big. Just then, the guards let some white students through. The crowd was quiet. I guess they were waiting to see what was going to happen. When I was able to steady my knees, I walked up to the guard who had let the white students in. He didn't move. When I tried to squeeze past him, he raised his bayonet, and then the other guards moved in and they raised their bayonets. They glared at me with a mean look, and I was very frightened and didn't know what to do. I turned around and the crowd came toward me. They moved closer and closer. Somebody started yelling, Drag her over this tree. Let's take care of that. For the following 2 weeks, the Little Rock Nine studied from home. President Dwight D. Eisenhower asked Orville Forbes, governor of Arkansas, to remove all troops from the school. On September 23, 1957, the Nine, accompanied by city policemen, successfully entered the school but were again met with an angry response from a mob of 1,000 surrounding the school. Death threats against Elizabeth and the others resulting in the Nine being taken into the principal's office. One of the overhead officials said, "We may have to let the mob have one of those kids, so as we can distract them long enough to get the others out." The following day, Eisenhower took control of the National Guard and sent the 101st Airborne Division to protect the students. Federal troops and National Guardsmen were deployed to the school to prevent violence, but violent acts against the Little Rock Nine still occurred, such as Elizabeth being thrown down a flight of stairs. Later in life, although all of the city's high schools were closed the following year, meaning Eckford could not graduate, she continued her studies in various ways, earning enough credits to receive her high school diploma. She was accepted by Knox College, Illinois, but later attended Central State University, Ohio, where she earned a BA in history. In 2018, Knox College awarded her with an honorary doctorate. Eckford served in the Army for 5 years as a pay clerk and later an information specialist. She also wrote for Fort McClellan and Fort Benjamin Harrison newspapers, worked as a waitress, history teacher, welfare worker, unemployment and employment interviewer, military reporter, and probation officer. In 1997, she shared the Father Joseph Blitz Award and was presented to her by the National Conference for Community and Justice with Hazel Bryan Massery, the student who was photographed shouting at Elizabeth when they were students. At the time, Hazel was a segregationist student. In 1997, the two women made speeches together at the Reconciliation Rally, but soon their friendship broke up. Eckford said, "Wanted me to be cured and be over it, and for this not to go on anymore. She wanted me to be less uncomfortable so she wouldn't feel responsible." In 2018, Elizabeth told her story in an autobiography titled The Worst First Day, bullied while desegregating Little Rock Central High, and was released 60 years after leaving this school. In 2019, she travelled to New Zealand to teach American civil rights history to more than 4,000 students. Elizabeth Eckford definitely made history, being one of the Little Rock Nine. She was an influential party in the civil rights movement despite only being in high school. The photograph of Elizabeth outside her school, being followed by the angry mob taken by Will Counts, made national and international news, and to this day is still a very influential photograph in civil rights history and should never be forgotten.